Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of PlayStation Pursuit. I have a big stack of games for this episode, and not anything mind-blowing in it, but there's definitely some solid titles in there, and I got great deals on all these, so hang tight, I'll show you what I got. Okay, so I'm going to start with a couple games that I got at the store Micro Game, which I've been to before. They had a 20% off sale. I don't know if it's still going on, but they had it going on while I was there. I had to get a ride from that neck of the woods, so I walked in and took a look at what they had. They had some cheap games, and with the 20% off, they were even cheaper. So nothing mind-blowing, but a couple of them I'm kind of excited to have, and they were all conveniently titled with an A at the start, so it was unintentional. I didn't mean to have all A titles, but that's what they are. So the first one I can tell is a budget title from the same series of some other budget games because it has a strip along the bottom of the manual that is in a lot of these other budget games, and it's just called All-Star Racing. So it actually doesn't look too bad. It looks graphically on par with stuff like Gran Turismo, so I don't know if it's as good of a racer, but pretty cool to have that. This is another one that I'm pretty sure is from a budget series, and it is called Aces of the Air. Looks like a pretty neat action flight sim kind of game, and it looks like it has pretty good graphics for the time. And disc is in great shape, and has cool back art. And one thing I thought was cool is it does show other value releases that came out back in the day. One of them is Strikers 1945, the shoot 'em up that I actually got in a recent episode of PlayStation Pursuit. So really excited to check this one out. It looks really good. And then, keeping in the style of action flight sims, this is the third game in a series that was made popular on the PlayStation, and I actually had this game disc only. I don't count the disc only ones because I do have a few more. I don't count them in the total number I have because I never, for something, I just have an aversion to disc only games. Card only is one thing, but disc only, I'm like, ugh. But I have a few. But now I can count this in with the total, and it's got a little sticker residue. But Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere, which is the third title in the Ace Combat. First game's called Air Combat. I don't know if it was a Japan to America name change, but now the series is known as Ace Combat. But I played this before because I did have the disc version, and really enjoyed it. And I remember it having really crisp high-res PlayStation graphics at the time. They had similar look to Wipeout 3 that was on the PlayStation that had a very similar crisp graphical style, very high resolution. So pretty cool to add that one to the collection. And then this one, I heard about this all the time back in the day with Electronic Gaming Monthly and other magazines that I bought back in the day. Had ads and reviews and all that, and it just looked like it was right up my alley because I kind of like these alternative car games that aren't just racers, Car Combat, those kind of errand running games where you're driving from point A to point B, like Crazy Taxi or some other games like that. And this one happens to be called Auto Destruct, made by Electronic Arts, and looks from the screenshots like it's right up my alley with the type of graphics and hopefully gameplay that'll suit my preferences. So cool to have those in the collection. And then these other two games I got from my friend Rich, who bought some games from me, and he let me know he had a couple PlayStation games that he would give me a good deal on. And I didn't have either of them, so it was cool. And the cases are a little roughed up, so I'm going to have to change them up, but that's par for the course with PS1. So they both happen to be from the same series, and that is the Duke Nukem series. Now, I have one of the three titles already that are Duke Nukem franchise on PS1, but I didn't have these two. So very happy to add Duke Nukem Total Meltdown, which this is the PlayStation port of Duke Nukem 3D, the classic. So I'm excited to see what this one's like. This is my favorite Duke Nukem, is the original. So very cool to add that one. Thank you, Rich. And then another one is, this was the last one that came on the system. Again, littered with stickers like some of the other pickups I got this month. But Duke Nukem Land of the Babes. And this one is a sequel to Duke Nukem A Time to Kill, which was the third-person Duke Nukem that kind of took from like Tomb Raider, but it was a little more action-y, and the controls were a little better in terms of just movement and everything, even though Tomb Raider, the controls in that are built for the type of puzzles and traversal in that game. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Has some decent graphics and a cheat sheet that somebody wrote cheat codes on, so always a bonus. So pretty cool to have that. So thanks again, Rich, for the hookup on those. Glad to have those in the collection. So why don't we take a little break, talk about some PlayStation favorites of mine this month, and I also have plenty more games to show off, so stick around. Okay, so to think about what game to talk about next, I have so many, but I think one I'm going to talk about is one that's been heard about from many people because it's kind of highly coveted, but it's not too expensive yet, but I guarantee that's going to change. And I don't think I have I think there was a map that came with this that I don't have, but it's a Working Designs title, and that is Alundra for the PS1. I say for the PS1, but this is a PlayStation episode. Alundra, awesome game. This is basically a PlayStation Legend of Zelda clone. It has very Zelda-like gameplay, but it also has some richer towns and more RPG-esque moments in it, but it's more action gameplay like the Legend of Zelda series, and has typical Working Designs artwork, just fantastic stuff. My disc has an O of marker on it, so I gotta get that off, but once again, there's variations. There's several different variants of the discs, so very awesome. And like I said, there's a map that I have to acquire, but and it's also got the shiny gold text and everything. Love the stuff they do. But this game is really cool. Like I said, it plays like Legend of Zelda. I first saw a video of it on Demo Disc, and it has really cool anime-style cutscenes and throughout the game. But the trailer I saw had a lot of those in it, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks kind of cool." And it just hooked me. It's a little harder than some Zeldas in parts. It reminds me a lot of, if anybody's played, I know it's a rare, expensive game, but Crusader of Senti on the Sega Genesis is another Zelda clone, but it's different enough in its own ways, and I feel like this has enough similarities and differences as that game. It it has a lot of cool magic you can use and everything, and some of the enemies and bosses get really creative, and there's a ton of puzzles. And actually, I'm pretty sure, even though this is made by the Working Designs as the developer, I'm pretty sure it's the same series and people working on it who made Landstalker. I don't know if it has it doesn't have another developer. Oh, but it does say, it says Landstalker is a trademark of Sega Enterprises. So it is. Landstalker for the Sega Genesis must be in the same series of this or anything. And there's a second Alundra on PS1 that is not as good, but a lot of people hate it just because it's not another Zelda clone. But it looks very intriguing to me. I don't have it yet. I still want to play it because I just love PS1 era games in general, so even if it's not as good as this classic, it's looks like a pretty cool game. But this one, I haven't beaten it. It's pretty tough, like I said, and I haven't really dove back into it in years. I just played a lot of it when I first played it, but I love it. It's got awesome music, and it's got that wonderful 2D artwork and stuff that really, I love 32-bit 2D games because it's so cool to see the extra processing power not go into making a fully 3D game, but just a better, refined two-dimensional game. And Saturn and PlayStation had a lot of those. PlayStation not as much at first because PS1, they were like, the execs at Sony were like, we need to push the new 3D. This is going to be the wow factor. And unfortunately, there's a couple 2D games for the system that did not come out that I'm going to try to get import copies of in the future, but that's long in the future. But this one made it over here, 2D. Fantastic game. Definitely hunt it down before it spikes like other Working Designs games. And I even looked it up. It might even already have spiked. So check it out. Find this one. Awesome game. Okay, so my second title I want to talk about is it's almost like a port of just a game that's kind of the same on all the systems I've played it on, but I love it. It's just a very classic game for me. And this one looks like it was a budget title when it was released. I believe the game is not called Quicks. It's Kicks, because there's no U in there, but Kicks and Neo is the name of this one. I played this on Sega Genesis, on Game Boy, and Nintendo are the three other platforms I played it on. I played the most of the Genesis one, but I think that was Ultimate Kicks. But this one is basically the same thing. I mean, the music, the sound effects, they're all kind of similar, just this one's a little more, I don't want to say PS1 era because the graphics are still 2D, but it's got a very addictive gameplay. The way this plays, if you've never played a Kicks game, is you draw a line with a ship. It's top down, and there are enemies. And when you draw a line from the outside border, you're safe on the outside border. So let's say this is the screen. You can move around the outside border, and you are you're protected until there might be later on, there might be some enemies that can get to you. But you can leave the border anytime you want in any direction. And you can go at right angles only, so you can't do like diagonals. And when you go out, you have a trail behind you. It's building a wall. So if you come out to here, and then you go back down here, you've now sealed this part up, and you can't go anywhere in this corner anymore. And so the enemies are moving around and stuff. You need to box in the enemies as tight as you can. The tighter you box them in, the better score you get. And when you get it tight enough that they can't survive anymore, then you can end the level and hopefully win. Thing is, if any enemy, boss or little enemies, touch your trail behind you, it almost is like a fuse. It really quickly catches up to you, and it will blow you up if you don't get away. So it's a cool strategy in this game of trying to close things in. You can do different stuff. You can try to make little thin lines and get 50% of the entire thing taken right away, but obviously it's more of a risk-reward kind of thing when you do something like that. I've always liked this series, and I actually got this on our trip when I went out with some of my other YouTube buddies to Rochester area. We went to a bunch of stores. I got this in, it might have been Canandaigua or something. I don't know. It was somewhere out there. But it's a really cool game, and like I said, looks like it's definitely in the budget series that I've seen before that has these strips. And there's other ones that I need to get. I don't have a single one of these, but I have seen at least 2 or 3 of them before. So, games I need to get, but this one's awesome. It's kind of uncommon. I've seen it 2 or 3 times since I got it, so it's not completely uncommon, but those are the only times I've seen it. So, if you can hunt it down, I think it's a really fun game, and if you've never played the series, this is a good one to try. Okay. Last game that I'm talking about this episode is a highly coveted and probably pricey game at this point. I've had it for years, so I didn't have to worry about the price. I think my mom bought it for me at Electronics Boutique, GameStop, whatever it was at the time. So it was the last time they sold PS1 games used in their store, so that tells you how many years ago it was. But this game is by Squaresoft, and 16 to 32-bit era was Squaresoft's heyday. Never better than those eras, in my opinion, for their games. But a lot of it was obviously RPGs, and this game wasn't. This was a shoot 'em up, and that's Einhander. It's covered up by the sticker in the corner that I haven't taken off over years. But this game is so cool. It's a fantastic shoot 'em up. It has great 3-dimensional graphics. The camera angle does some of that skewing, 2D plane, but the camera moves so there's a little 3D depth to the scene. And it has this cool cyberpunk Blade Runner-esque setting, cool robotic enemies, and of course ships and everything that come after you. The music's really addicting. As you're playing, it gets you pumped, which is a big important thing in my opinion for a shoot 'em up. And the bosses are fantastic, which is another great thing for shooters. And yeah, the graphics are just really cool. There's really good lighting. Nighttime looks like nighttime, and there's dusk moments, and really cool stuff there. And the weapons are pretty cool. Actually, I'm glad it shows it on the cover. There's this chain gun weapon that you can get that has ammo, so it runs out when as the countdown goes on the little number counter on your ship. And something about that gun, it's so cool. I don't know if it locks on, if I remember correctly, but it's on top of your ship, so you get 2 weapons, and picking up the different power-ups adds that level of strategy, what you want to do. There's 3 ships you can choose from, actually, I remember now looking at the back. And it's cool because there's different designs based on those ships that do different things. So really awesome game. If you can get it, like I said, it's a little pricier nowadays, but I've always loved this. This is a classic for me, and glad to see that it's highly coveted, because I think it's deserving of its praise. It's not just a rare game or anything like that. It's a very, very good shooter, so check this one out if you can. So, back at it. The rest of the games I have, believe it or not, I got for $1 a piece, which is the price I'll pay for pretty much any game. At $1, okay, whatever, I'll add it. If I don't have it, I'll take it. And but a lot of these games are definitely worth more than $1, so very happy to add these to the collection. And I actually had a few of them already, but I got them all at $1 because some of them might be disc or manual or even back art upgrades from what I already have. So I just picked them all up, and I figure I'll sort them out later, and then I can sell the other ones or trade them in. So let's get started. The first one is Animorphs Shattered Reality, and it's based off of the book series, young adult book series that a lot of people have an attachment to. I never read any of them, but it says Scholastic Book Company on the disc and the manual, so and actually the back too. So they're definitely a licensed title here, but it looks like a kind of cool third-person action game based on the franchise. Might make for a better game than the books, although I'm not knocking the books. Like I said, I never read them, but you know, I have no interest in reading them, but the game might open up my mind to those a little more. So now this one I'm really excited was in the pile. I wanted it for a while, and I know it goes for quite a bit more. I don't think it's a super expensive game, but I might be wrong. I haven't looked it up in a while. But it is Bubble Bobble, also featuring Rainbow Islands. So pretty cool to have a Bubble Bobble title on the PlayStation, and it has it looks like it has tons of content because of the different Bubble Bobble games on here, and it has enhanced graphics and everything, but some of that classic Bubble Bobble gameplay. This looks pretty cool. And just some ads in the back art. I was trying to see if there was anything cool in the back, but that was a really cool addition to the collection. I was really glad to get that. Now this is one of the ones I mentioned before that I had, but I think the manual and disc look like they're in better shape than the one I have, because I remember getting mine a couple years ago at a local store that's no longer there called Game Craze. It was in our mall, and it was pretty roughed up then, but it played. I have it. But it is Running Wild, and it's a racing game where you play as animal creatures that run on 2 feet, and it's actually a pretty fun racing game. It's very different than most racing games, being that you're actually running, and I believe they had a sequel called Mad Dash, I think, on the original Xbox, or a sequel or a spiritual successor or something like that. But it's a pretty good game. I really liked it, and I played a demo of it, I think, back in the day, so that's where I first heard of it, and glad to add that to my personal collection. So pretty cool there. This one I did not have before. This is Disney's Dinosaur, based off of the movie of the same name. Thought the movie, from what I hear, is supposed to be pretty bad. I never saw it myself. I remember it had a really epic trailer on the beginning of some Disney movie back in the day. But yeah, it just looks like a Disney licensed action-adventure game, so I'll check that out sometime, but cool to have that for $1. And this is a remake of an Atari classic, an arcade classic, that they did a series back in the day. I actually have Breakout and Pong from the remake series, and they're actually pretty good. Pretty much all the ones I've played have been good. And this is Asteroids, so it's basically a 3D-ified version of it that plays pretty much the same. They add some cool tweaks. I know the Pong one and the Breakout one had some cool additions, but it still plays the same. If Centipede is in the same series as these, it might be just it came out around the same time. That one I remember playing a demo of, and I did not like it. It changed it too much. This one and the other ones I have already seem to play more like the original classics, which when you mess with classics, you got to make sure you are very loyal to their original gameplay style. So hopefully this one is more like that and not like Centipede. So this one I had as well, but looks like it's in really good shape outside of like a little scuffing on the case. It's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I really liked what I played with this. We got it 2-3 years ago, I think, and when we were checking it out, we're like, wow, this is really cool, because it's based off the book, not the movies. It was out before the movie, so it has its own look that's, you know, obviously Harry Potter, but not the Harry Potter that with Daniel Radcliffe and everything, so pretty neat there. This one is another dollar title I got. It's Casper. I think it's based off the Casper movie that came out in the 90s, but cracked case, but I can't really tell what kind of game it is just from the look of it. It has almost like, well, it's got some FMV, but looks like there's a side-scrolling and a top-down shot, so different gameplay styles maybe. Pretty cool to add that. This is another one I got from my buddy Johnny a while back. And I don't know if this or how this compares to the one I got from him, but it's another dollar one, Rat Attack. So looks like a puzzle action kind of game, like, you know, a mix of level by level puzzles. So pretty cool there. Another one that I have is or have already, but this one I think is in better shape than the one I have, is Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. And I played a little bit of this before, and it's pretty cool 3D platformer with Bugs Bunny, and has a really good simple-looking PlayStation graphics. I know I've mentioned before when PS1 graphics are simple, they sometimes lend themselves better, so pretty cool to have that. And then one I'm probably never going to have interest to play, because I never liked the show. I tried watching it a couple times, but it's the Wild Thornberrys Animal Adventures. I like Rugrats from the company that made this show, and even Our Real Monsters was pretty good, but I just could not get into the show. Although the Nigel, or whatever the character's name is, that they made a meme out of with his face appearing on other characters, is really funny. And then I was really happy to get this one because I love the license, and it always looked cool when I watched videos of it, and looked like it was right up my alley. So it's actually Disney's Aladdin, Nasira's Revenge. And I don't know if Nasira's, the character who's getting revenge, is just a character made up for this, or if it's from the TV show, because it does say it has the voice actors from the TV series. And I know they had an animated TV series. So loved the original Aladdin movie, and this looked like a game right up my alley. And one thing that's kind of cool is the disc has the genie and his body goes up here, but you look, the spine, or part right next to the spine, doesn't have the traditional gray background. It actually has a continuation of the art, and so it looks like that's intentional. So the game looks a little different like this, but I think that's pretty cool that they have a slight variation on it, because you're usually used to seeing the same old with PS1 games. So, but yeah, that was all the pickups I got this time, and really happy to get all these at once. You know, it's so many games, but I didn't spend much money at all, because it was all $1 here, $1 there, and then the other one had the 20% off, and then my buddy Rich gave me a good deal. So awesome additions, and I'm now going to crunch the numbers again and see what we are at for this month. All right, I've crunched the numbers, which is basically just me pausing, adding to the existing number, and continuing. And that is now 333 PS1 games. So awesome number. Lucky threes. It's not like lucky sevens, but pretty happy to have that. So yeah, that was this episode. I just realized I said great games these month. I guess I'm used to doing monthly pickups, but these episodes have been more sporadic, and I've been actually trying to release them on a weekly schedule, but they're filmed sometimes a couple days apart and everything. So anyway, once again, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying the cool PlayStation games that I've been talking about and finding. So gonna keep going for that goal. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.